Santa is coming to Tampa Bay and St. Petersburg. Well, boomed Santa, have all the children from Tampa and St. Petersburg been good this year? Well, mostly, answered the little old elf as he bustled across the busy workshop to Santa's desk. Santa peered down at the elf from behind the tall, teetering piles of letters that the children had sent him. Mostly, asked Santa, looking over the top of his glasses. Yes, but they've all been very good in the last few days, said the elf. Jolly good, said Santa. Then we'd better get their presents loaded up.
Even though the sack of presents was really, really, really big, and the elves were really, really, really small, they seemed to have no trouble loading it onto Santa's sleigh, though how they managed to fit such a big sack into some little sleigh, no one knew. But somehow they did it. Splendid, boomed Santa. We're ready to go. Not quite, Santa, said the little old elf. One of our reindeer is missing.
Missing? Which reindeer is missing? Asked Santa. The youngest one, Santa, said the elf. It was his first flight tonight. I've called him and called him, but just then a young reindeer strolled up munching on a large carrot. Where have you been? Asked Santa. But the young reindeer was crunching so loudly that it was no wonder he hadn't heard the little old elf calling. Oh well, never mind, said Santa, giving the reindeer a little wink. He took out his Santa nav and tapped in the coordinates for Tampa Bay, Florida. This will guide us to Tampa Bay in no time. Crunch, crunch, crunch.
3. With a flick of the reins and a jerk of the harness, off they went racing through the sky. Ho, 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 laughed Santa. We'll soon have these presents delivered to the Sunshine City. Santa's sleigh flew through the starry night, heading south across the Arctic Ocean. On they flew in the wintry air over Canada. In the wink of an eye, the sleigh was flying above Wisconsin and then over Alabama. The youngest reindeer was very excited. He had never been away from the North Pole before.
They were just nearing the Gulf of Mexico when suddenly they ran into a thick fog. Mist swirled around the sleigh. They couldn't see a thing. The youngest reindeer was getting a bit worried, but Santa didn't seem concerned. In 2 miles, said the Santa nav in a bossy lady's voice. Keep left at the next star. But ma'am, Santa blustered, I can't see any stars in all this fog. Soon they were hopelessly lost.
Ding dong, ding dong. Then through the foggy blanket, the youngest reindeer heard a faint ringing sound. Ding dong, ding dong. He looked over at all the old reindeer with the red nose, but he had his head down. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. That was the sound again, like church bells ringing. The youngest reindeer turned around to look at Santa, but Santa wasn't listening. He seemed to be arguing with a little box with buttons on it. With a flick of the harness and a jerk of the reins, the youngest reindeer gave a sharp tug and then headed off towards the sound of the bells, pulling Santa and his sleigh behind him.
Whoa, cried Santa, pulling his hat straight. What's going on? Then, to his surprise, he heard the ringing sound. Well done, young reindeer, he shouted cheerfully. It must be Sacred Heart Catholic Church in Tampa. Don't worry, children. Santa is coming. Then, suddenly, crunch! The sleigh hit something as it plummeted through the fog. You have arrived, said the Santa nav unhelpfully.
Okay. Finally, when the fog had lifted, Santa discovered where they were, stuck right at the very top of the Christmas tree at Curtis Hickston Park in Tampa. Everybody pull! The reindeer pulled with all their might until the last, with a screeching noise, the sleigh scraped clear off the tree. and Santa steered them safely over Hillsborough River, above the University of Tampa, across Tampa Bay, along the Gandy Boulevard Bridge, and down to Sawgrass Lake Park.
Luckily, there was no real damage done, but the packages had all been jumbled up. Santa quickly sorted the presents into order again. "All right," said Santa, "thanks to this young reindeer, I know where we are now. Don't worry, children, Santa is coming." Santa drove his sleigh expertly from rooftop to rooftop all over Tampa and St. Pete, popping in and out of chimneys as fast as he could, which was pretty fast for a chubby fellow. There were big chimneys in Clearwater and small chimneys in Dunedin. He squeezed down thin chimneys in Sarasota and plummeted down fat chimneys in Carrollwood.
The youngest reindeer was amazed at how quickly they went. Santa never seemed to get tired at all, and it looked like the children were going to be very lucky this year. But the youngest reindeer was starting to feel a bit weary and quite hungry too. In house after house, Santa delved inside his sack for packages of every shape and size. He piled them under the Christmas trees and carefully filled up the stockings with surprises. In house after house, the good children of Tampa and St. Petersburg had left out a plate of cookies, a small glass of milk, and a big crunchy carrot. Santa took a little bite out of each cookie, a tiny sip of milk, wiped his beard, and popped the carrots into his sack.
From Pinellas Park to Palm Harbor, from Brandon to Bradenton, from Tarpon Springs to Treasure Island, and all the places in between, Santa and his sleigh visited every house in Tampa and St. Petersburg. Santa delivered presents to Andrew and Allison, to Anna, Arabella, Archie, Ashley, the list went on and on. Zach, Zara, Zeb, Zoe, and Sybil.
Go.
Finally, Santa had delivered the last present on his long list. "Great moons and stars," sighed Santa. "It's past midnight and my sack seems as heavy as ever. I hope I haven't forgotten anyone." Santa opened his sack to check, but it was full of juicy, crunchy carrots. Santa divided the carrots among all the reindeer. "Well done," he said, patting the youngest reindeer gently on the nose. "Ho, ho, ho," laughed Santa. "Merry Christmas, Tampa Bay and St. Petersburg."